Entertainment and Sports Network.
The celebration was on last night in the Yankee clubhouse, but it's not the end of the journey. It's really just the beginning, because there's baseball again tonight as the Yes Network presents New York Yankees baseball. It's the New York Yankees against the Tampa Bay Rays in the final game of the four-game set from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees baseball, along with David Cohn and John Flaherty. I'm Michael Kay. Well, the Yankees won the second game of the day-night doubleheader by a 4-2 score, and they clinched the American League East. So that's cause for celebration. You just saw that. But the way they did it, the Hollywood way that they did it, it almost seems like it didn't happen, but it happened.
It was a long day of baseball, but it ended perfectly for the New York Yankees. The veteran Jorge Posada pinch hitting for the youngster Jesus Montero. Posada had faced Brandon Gomes before. He gets a little scouting report from Kevin Long, the hitting instructor, and then he produces with the crowd on their feet. Base hit to right field, drives in a couple of runs. That'll be your American League East title right there. A huge hit for Jorge Posada. The reaction of the teammates, Derek Jeter showing some emotion, and Jorge Posada a reason to smile.
And the Yankees all had a reason to smile big time, especially when this final out was made. The celebration was on, and the biggest smile was for Posada, who's gone through so much this year as he has struggled to accept the DH role and have the catching job taken away from him. And after the game, obviously, the core three had to talk about things, and the manager as well. First, we'll hear from Jorge.
On a bat like this, to win the ball game really is important. So I'm taking every at bat as a tough one, and you know, I have pretty good at bats in the first game. I felt good in the first game, and I think it helped me out for this at bat.
Well, we have a team that has a lot of confidence. We have confidence in everyone on our roster, and regardless who's out there, we had a lot of injuries this year. Guys have been out, other guys have stepped in, but we have a good team. I guess that's the best way to put it.
It's a long road to get to this point, and some of the things that we went through, and you know, there were a lot of great times, and there were some difficult times that we went through. But the one thing about this group is it's been resilient all year.
We overcome a lot of adversities. You know what I mean? We have guys down left and right, but we as a team is still together. And that was the reason why we're here celebrating, because, I mean, we stick together like a team.
And now the Yankees will try to clinch the best record in the American League. This is the pitching matchup brought to you by New York Lottery. Matt Moore will make his first big league start out of the bullpen at 6.23 ERA. Great numbers in the minors. Bartolo Colon for the Yankees, 8-9 with a 3.81. His last two starts, David, he's been very good and not so great.
Yeah, he really has, you know, and from the midseason form that we saw, he was one of the best pitchers of the Yankees this year in midseason form. We need to see that again tonight from Bartolo. In Anaheim, he actually had it going. We've seen him try to mix it up a little more. Predominantly a fastball pitcher, about 85% fastballs, but as you see right there, when those fastballs drift over the middle of the plate, they tend to get hammered and he becomes a little bit predictable. But Bartolo Colon, to me, has an important start tonight. He needs to get it going, because I believe he's going to be a key in the Yankees' postseason plans.
Is he going to make a postseason start? This could go a long way toward having the Yankees decide that. What a year it's been so far. Milestones, excitement, big plays, some pie as well. And that all leads to an American League East championship. We'll show you what they've done and how they've done it next on Yes. first pitch of the final game of this 4-game set. Take a look at what this Yankees season has given us. A 95-60 record. That's the best in the American League. They clinched their 17th American League East title and their 16th playoff berth in the last 17 years. And by the way, they also hit home runs. The Bronx Bombers, indeed, 213 home runs, the most in baseball. Also, we got Jeter's 3,000th hit and Rivera's 602nd save. Not too bad, and it's only just begun. Well, the first big step was last night. Big moments in that game. Moments that will stand on the highlight reel if the Yankees do something special this year. But there's a game tonight. Lineups, first pitch, and that game next. By T-Mobile's family plans with unlimited data, talk, and text. Step up to nationwide 4G. By Advanced Urology Centers of New York, the best care in the world right in your backyard. And by the Buick Enclave, the finest luxury crossover. Nice night at this point here at Yankee Stadium. Yankees have taken the field. Bartolo Colon taking his warm-ups, and we're taking a look at the Rays starting lineup, which is presented by our good friends at HP. Rays 85 and 70. Desmond Jennings, the left fielder, will lead off. Batting second, playing center is B.J. Upton. Evan Longoria at third base will hit third. Cleaning up, right fielder Matt Joyce. Johnny Damon, the DH, will bat fifth. Batting sixth, playing second base, Ben Zobrist. Casey Kochman at first base will bat seventh. Batting eighth and catching, John Jaso. And Reed Brignac, the shortstop, is going to bat ninth.
Well, that lineup for Joe Maddon's Rays going to face Bartolo Colon, coming off a rough outing in Toronto. We'll look at his numbers on the year. 8-9, 3.81 ERA, 131 strikeouts in 156 innings. We'll look at our G pitcher scouting report. Really been the story of two different halves. 6-4 with a 3.2 in the first half and a record of 2-5 with a 4.64 in the second half. But a golden opportunity tonight to make a statement that he wants a start in the postseason. And he's on normal rest, second time in his last 10 starts, so we'll see how he reacts with that.
All right, so we're all set up for baseball. Final game of this 4-game set. Jennings ready, Colon's ready. Let's do it in the Bronx. The first pitch is a strike, and we are underway. Jennings 2 for 13 against the Yankees in the first 3 games of the series. Had a big 2-run home run, though. That gave the Rays a lead for a while. Now he is 3 for 14 in this series as he leads off with a single. Why don't we take a look at the Yankees defense, which is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealer. In the outfield, Andrew Jones in left, Greg Golson in center, Nick Swisher over in right. Infield, Brandon Laird, Derek Jeter, Eduardo Nunez, and Jorge Posada third to first. Jesus Montero gets start behind the plate, and Bartolo Colon is on the mound. B.J. Upton 5 for 13 in this series. Now, the Yankees clinched the East yesterday, but that doesn't mean that they don't have anything to play for. They desperately want to have the best record in the American League. They have a very substantial lead. They have a 5-game lead over the closest pursuer. They have 7 games left, including tonight. But you get home field advantage. That means that until the World Series, your ball club, which is built for this ballpark, gets that extra game here. That could mean winning or losing. Now, the World Series, it doesn't count because the winner of the All-Star game, that league gets it, and this year was the National League. The 1-0. 1-1.
You wonder how the Rays are feeling. 2 games yesterday, 2 close ball games, had an opportunity to win both of those games and couldn't get it done, couldn't get the big hit. Dropped a half a game in that wild card race.
And that clipped Upton on the way by. So Colon has himself a little bit of a jam here. First and second, nobody out.
Certainly not the start of the inning that the Yankees were looking for from Bartolo. You see that 2-seamer run in and just clip the back elbow on Upton. His velocity a little down, Flash, upper 80s. 2-seamers a little flat, more side-to-side movement so far in the first 2 hitters.
You talked a little bit last night, CC Sabathia, the end of the year, maybe fatigue a little bit with the legs. Maybe the same thing with Bartolo Colon. Been out a few years now. September starts. And I noticed too, location has not been good his last outing, especially in Toronto, leaving balls middle of the plate. Assuming that would be another sign of fatigue.
Jennings at second, Upton is at first. Nobody out, just underway here at the stadium. There's a strike.
The thing you like about Bartolo, and the thing that I've noticed throughout his whole career, is he really has no fear out there. He really loves his fastball, trusts it, throws it over 80% of the time, kind of lives and dies by it.
One and two.
Kind of slip coming down the hill. Jorge Posada playing first base, going to go over and make sure he's okay.
Kind of see his heel spin out there on the mound. Watch the land leg, how you land so important, and that heel kind of spinning. You haven't really developed the hole that you're going to land in the first inning, which is why the first inning is always so tough for starting pitchers. You see Girardi comes out just to check to make sure. You can see Bartolo tried to get a little extra on that 4-seamer there. Sometimes when you add a little velocity, your stride lengthens out, you can slip a little bit.
Now 1-2 on Longoria.
Really get the feeling with this Rays ball club, watching them for 3 games now. I mean, Longoria's got to get the big hit for them. They struggle a little bit offensively. He's been quiet in this series.
Let's look at the game time weather presented by Bigelow Tea. 73 degrees, high humidity. Not much wind, but it's cloudy and there's possible showers in the forecast. Never good. Missed outside.
Fielding Culberth behind the plate. Couple of close pitches there from Colon. Just missed on the outside corner. Montero behind the plate, trying to bring it back, steal the strike, doesn't get the call.
3-2. Still 3-2. Longoria has 57 ribbies on the road, 35 at home. His average not where he's accustomed to having it at 242. Well, he has to expand the strike zone, you would think, on this team because there's not that much protection in the lineup. 3-2. And he walked them. Bases loaded, nobody out. Jeter goes in and has a talk with him. This is a pretty big start. I mean, David's been talking about it, that if he had his druthers, the number 3 starter in the playoffs would be Colon. But David, if he throws a stinker here, they might have to reevaluate.
There's no doubt that for the first time in several years, such a great Yankee team is in such flux going into the playoffs, really not knowing what the rotation is going to be.
There's Matt Joyce. There's a ground ball through for a base hit. Desmond Jennings scores. The ball is bobbled by Swisher. Here comes Upton. He'll score. The throw comes into second. And the Rays have a 2-0 lead. That'll be an RBI and I believe an E9, allowing the second run to score.
Colon, with all the movement on his fastball, will get some ground balls, but just out of the reach of Nunez. And Nick Swisher comes in and just pulls up a little bit early. B.J. Upton coming around third was going to stop. Third base coach Tom Foley holds him, and then he sees the miscue. Single and an RBI and an error on Nick Swisher.
Now Montero wants to go out and talk with Colon. And, we talk about Yankees are trying to figure out what their roster is going to be like. I think what we're seeing here is a little bit of a tryout for Jesus Montero as well. Can we keep him as the backup, they're thinking, and also as that righty bat as a DH? Or would they have to carry him as the DH and then carry Romine as the backup, because it doesn't look as if Cervelli will be ready after suffering a concussion. So these are important innings behind the plate for Montero. Johnny Damon fouls it back. IOTV offers incredible HD picture and sound. Get the best in HD free. IOTV is the official HD service provider of Yankees baseball on Yes. There's a strike. Count 0-2 to Damon. Now, you mentioned Colbreth behind the plate. Like they're horses for courses, there are umpires for pitchers. Colon's made 4 starts with Colbreth behind the plate, and his ERA is 7.40. Lofted to left field. Longoria will tag. Andrew Jones makes the catch. And he'll make the throw to second as Longoria scores. It's a sac fly for Damon. And now the Rays lead 3-0.
Nothing for the Rays. We haven't seen that this whole weekend. A 3-run inning here in the first, or weekend during the week. 3 games so far in this series. They still have life in that Tampa clubhouse. Talking to some of the guys this afternoon, they know they missed some opportunities, but Boston letting them hang in there.
But by losing the 3 games to the Yankees, while the Red Sox were losing 3 out of 4 to the Orioles, they got company. Now they're tied with the Angels, 2.5 behind the Red Sox for that wild card spot. There's a strike. Wild card standings brought to you by Delta. Delta keep climbing. Red Sox 88-68. The Rays 85-70. 2.5 back. Same record as the Angels. Off speed, swung on the miss.
Good to see some off-speed pitches work in that game in Toronto last time with Bartolo Colon. Only lasted 4 innings. He didn't change his game plan at all. He just kept pumping that fastball in there. Gave up 7 hits, 6 earned runs. Nice to see a few off-speed pitches here in the first.
Hot shot, base hit. Matt Joyce will round second. He'll go to third. It's a single for Zobrist. And the Rays have runners on first and third and 1 out.
third straight changeup in a row to Zobrist. The third one, the worst of the bunch. And a lot of times that's what happens when you show a hitter like Zobrist the same speed, the same changeup, 3 pitches in a row. He's going to eventually time it, and he does.
So it's 3-0 Rays. First and third one out. Still top of the first inning. Here's Casey Kochman. Let's see if they can turn 2. There's 1. And there's 2. But the damage has been done as the Rays score 3 runs on 3 hits and 1 man left on base with 1 error. Rays 3 and the Yankees coming to bat. First big league start. Bartolo Colon struggled through the top of the first. Let's take a look at the Yankees starting lineup. That will try to get some of those runs back, and it's presented by Lexus. The captain, the shortstop, Derek Jeter, leads off, batting second, playing second, Eduardo Nunez. Mark Teixeira, the DH, he'll hit third. The number 4 hitter, right fielder, Nick Swisher. Andrew Jones in left field will bat fifth. Batting sixth and catching, Jesus Montero. Jorge Posada, the hero of the second game last night. He'll be at first, he'll bat seventh. Batting eighth, playing third base, Brandon Laird. And Greg Golson, the center fielder, will bat ninth.
Well, that lineup for the Yankees going to get a good look at Matt Moore, young left-handed pitching prospect for the Rays. We'll take a look at his numbers. Those are out of the bullpen. 6.23 ERA, 4 strikeouts in 5 innings. Our chief pitcher scatter report. This will be the first career start in the big leagues, the first of many for Mr. Moore. And Baseball America rates him as their top pitching prospect. 12-3 with a 1.92 ERA between AA and AAA this year in the minor leagues. And everybody you talk to says watch his delivery. It is effortless. And the ball jumps out of his hand mid-90s, 95, 96. Good curveball changeup.
Rung up 210 strikeouts in 155 innings between AA and AAA. That's 12.2 strikeouts per 9 innings. And Derek Jeter will get his first look. And more deals. Foul away.
Look at that delivery from the third base side of the rubber. Almost similar to Cole Hamels of the Phillies.
How about this one, David? Mark Langston.
A little bit. Langston had a little more herky-jerky in his knee, in his leg kick, but see the resume for young Matt Moore.
What's impressive, only the 8th round in 2007 to uncover somebody like that in the 8th round.
Kind of like to see the hands flowing, that over-the-head delivery, the hands moving. What that does is help you get a bigger circle, your circle and release part. We call it circle and reach. The throwing arm makes a circle, and then the extension and the reach towards home plate when you release the ball. When you go over the head like that, helps you create a larger circle. Thus more velocity, as you see 96 miles an hour.
I got a piece of John Jaso. Let's take a look at the Rays defense, brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealer. Since we've seen Jason, we start with him. In the infield, Longoria, Brignac, Zobrist, and Kosman third to first. In the outfield, from right to left, Joyce, Upton, and Jennings. But Jaso seems like he's okay. Jeter at 298. One of the personal achievements the Yankees would like is Jeter getting 300. A 1-2 high, 2-2. Now Hersbet said he did not go.
Generate 97 miles an hour with that windup. It's just so easy.
Two, swing and a miss. 96, blew it right by Jeter, one away. Jeff Neiman was supposed to start tonight's game and give him an extra day rest, and they bring Matt Moore to start, which tells you something, because again, they have to have this game.
Just above the belt with some giddy up on it.
Here's Eduardo Nunez. John told you about the split between AA and AAA. At AA, which is in Montgomery, 8-3, 2.20, and then they moved them up to AAA, 4-0, 1.37. So his numbers total 12-3, 1.92 ERA.
He's just pumping that fastball in there to Derek Jeter. Now to Nunez. Pay attention to his secondary pitches.
That got a piece of Fielding Culbreth.
Fielding Culbreth, known as Cubby. Right up that right shoulder. We're gonna have 2 outs. The catcher's been beat up. The umpire's been beat up.
Coming in at 96 miles an hour on a foul tip, it's not going to lose that much velocity.
First breaking ball we've seen from Moore, 84 miles an hour, kind of a slurvy off-speed pitch. And you wonder in the minor leagues throwing that hard how many breaking balls you have to throw.
And the 1-2. Right back to Moore. 2 outs. Right before he threw that pitch, very confidently wiped twice on his jersey. So, despite being 22, feels comfortable enough to shake off Jaso.
Well, Yankee fans might remember Jimmy Key doing that back in the 90s, the great lefty for the Yankees and Blue Jays. Sort of what that is, rather than shaking off and waiting for another sign to be given from the catcher, you just swipe your uniform and that automatically subtracts or adds to get to the pitch that you want. Kind of facilitates the situation where a pitcher can quickly dictate what pitch he wants to throw without a catcher giving another sign.
Good off-speed pitch there, 1-2. Count 2-2. Missed outside. And it's full on Teixeira. Teixeira 3 for 11 so far in this series. And a foul tip held on to by Jaso, and that will do it as Teixeira strikes out. 2 Ks for Moore. We've played one. That's 3-0 Rays over the Yankees right here on Yes. Which of the current wild card leaders is more likely to make the playoffs? You can text us at 58772. Standard text messaging rates apply. Is it the Braves? Is it the Red Sox? Both? Neither? I think the Braves hold is a bit more precarious than the Red Sox. There's Jaso against Colon. The pitch is high, 1-0 as we start the second. Braves might get some breathing room. The Mets are leading St. Louis 8-6 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. That was a game that the Cards had led. Long rain delay at the start as Jaso swings and misses. And when you're chasing and there's so few games left, you can't afford to have a loss against a Met team that's going to finish under 500. So 1 away, and here's Reed Brignac. Colon seems like he's throwing a little bit harder. Fouled away. Yankees made a decision today that they would not start CC Sabathia the rest of the year. He's going to pitch out of the bullpen or in a bullpen controlled atmosphere in a stimulated game. So he will not see any more game action this year. And the simulated game is either going to be Sunday or Monday. Grounded to second. 2 away. You guys down with that? Is that the right move?
Well, I mean, the other side of it is you start him in a game and pitch him, what, maybe 3-4 innings, 50, 60 pitches and get him out of there, and then you have to use your bullpen. But I guess whatever you have to do to have him on track for that Friday night start, game 1. David would probably, you have a better opinion than I.
You know what? We've always, in the past, on different teams I've been on, we've always tried to get game situation. Maybe 2 or 3 innings. Even in relief, sometimes I'd come in relief just to get the game situation down, to get the rough edges worn off. Yankees and manager Girardi going a different way.
And the way it broke with the start on a Wednesday, his next start or the first start in the ALDS, which will be Friday, is going to be on short rest if they started him at all. And they decided not to start him, and now he'll have longer rest. And I'm sure that you could simulate a game, but there's no way you could simulate that emotion.
Not the same. Certainly not the same. But they, CC Sabathia's had a heavy workload. He's had a great year. They decided to back off and give him a little extra rest and see how that plays out.
Jennings rounds one to short. Jeter backhands. A high throw sails over the head of Posada into the camera well. So that's going to be an E6 on Jeter.
I don't think Derek Jeter rushed this throw. Obviously, Jennings runs pretty well getting down the line, but he plants on his back foot. Right away out of his hand. No chance for Jorge Posada.
I can't remember ever seeing Derek Jeter make an overthrow like that. So sure-handed, so accurate with his arm.
11th error of the year for Jeter. And the pitch to Upton is inside.
You can almost tell by the look on Derek Jeter's face after that throw. I don't know if he's ever done that before. Certainly not for the Yankees.
Getting back to Sabathia for a minute, threw a ton of pitches last night too. You wonder if they don't want him to start a game where there would be more intensity and maximum effort. 127 pitches last night. I know a lot of talk about that today. Four of his last 5, a lot of pitches.
Well, without getting into a game, that means he will not get 20 wins this year. Finished with 19. He did say, listen, they're going to take me out with the bases loaded. Nobody want to bring in more than David Robertson. Robertson threw one pitch, got a double play, and ended up getting the win.
That is the definition of a vulture job. Hovering like a buzzard, getting a win.
3 times in his career, David, one pitch wins.
Good-natured ribbing in the clubhouse. Relievers are notorious for that.
Robertson said once the Red Sox score went up that they had lost, he said we could not lose that game. He knew we wanted to win that, get it over with, which is what they did. Fouled away.
Just watching Montero go out and have a talk with Bartolo Colon. Nobody better to catch. I mean, he's so easy. You mentioned it, David, 90 or 85% fastballs. Not a lot of guesswork for a catcher. Pretty easy to receive and handle.
In the left center field, it's a base hit. Jennings will score. It's going to split the outfielders. Cut off on the warning track by Golson. And heading to third is Upton. The throw, not in time. It's an RBI triple. It's 4-0 Rays.
They go for the slider. You can see it kind of just sits up there, even though it's out over the outer part of the plate. It's flat. B.J. Upton almost reloads on this swing. He's got the speed to easily get there for a triple.
He was actually out because he lost connection with the bag as he was sliding, and Laird still had the glove on him. What a tough call for Scott Barry to make. That one is looped into right center field. It's a base hit for Longoria. Upton will score easily. It goes to the wall as Longoria will chug into second with an RBI double, and it's 5-0 Rays, or they are jumping all over Cologne.
Well, no answers tonight for that postseason rotation. I talked in the G Pitcher Scouting Report. A golden opportunity for Cologne to come out here and have a big night and say, give me one of those spots. It's not happening.
Well, we've said this over and over. Cologne pitching innings and games that he hasn't pitched in 6 years. He has not pitched this deep into a season since 2005 with the Angels, assorted injury woes. It must be difficult for him to be pitching innings he hasn't pitched in a while. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Yankees. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. So a couple of catchers and a pitching coach out there talking. Got to bring up Matt Joyce. Joyce struck out against Soriano last night on a check swing. Raul Valdez gets up to end the game, game 2. Clinch the American League East for the Yankees. He didn't like the call, but there wasn't much he could do. The Yankees were running out on the field celebrating. He didn't think that he went through. The 1-0. 1-1. Grabbed there by Posada. He's going to flip the Cologne, and that will do it. The error by Jeter is costly. That would have been the end of the inning. Instead, the Rays scored 2 on 2 hits and that error, and it's 5-0 Tampa Bay. Express, enjoy the journey. 3 games against the Red Sox. 7:30 tomorrow on Yes, or 7 o'clock tomorrow on Yes. Saturday 4:10 on Fox, but we have extra innings right after the game. Sunday 1:05 on Yes. Then the regular season ends with 3 in Tampa Bay against the Rays. The middle game on My 9, and then the ALDS game 1 will be Friday. Game 2 will be Saturday, and we will have a pre and post game coverage right here on Yes throughout the postseason. 5-0 Tampa Bay. So young Matt Moore making his first big league start, certainly getting support early as he deals to Swisher. And there's a strike.
Just looking up on the board, the Red Sox have the night off tonight. Good or bad? I guess a chance to regroup, get away from it, maybe think about it a little bit more. Might not be the best thing in the world.
It's funny, the Tampa Bay players did not like the fact that they were off on Monday. After taking 3 out of 4 at Fenway against the Red Sox, they said, want to be right back out there and keep playing. Joe Madden, their manager, felt that it was okay to have that day off, but they haven't been able to score, and they lost the first 3 games of this 4-game set. Line drive, a base hit to left field by Nick Swisher.
First hit for the Yankees. Anytime you have a hard thrower, you want to make sure that fastball is down in the zone. That's exactly where Nick Swisher got it, down and in.
You know, lost amidst all the excitement of Posada getting that game-winning hit. Nick Swisher had a huge pinch hit double to start it all in the 8th inning with 1 out, and everything went downhill for the Rays from that point. Andrew Jones fouls back. This might be a good matchup for Jones. He likes to hit the fastball, and Matt Moore certainly features a pretty good fastball. He's going strength against strength in the count 0-2. So what do you do here, David? Do you outthink, or you just say, here's the fastball again?
Well, if you're going to use the fastball, you got to go up the ladder.
Those are right by him.
Or go outside on the black. But in and out with the fastball. I mean, obviously 4-seam fastballs. He's got a pretty good idea of what he's doing, locating the previous one right on the inside corner. That's a perfect pitch, just off the plate. Just tell how the ball comes out of his hand. It just got great spin and life and late action on it through the zone. 4-seam fastballs have movement too. A little hop, a little riding action right through the strike zone, and it's late as well. And we tend to think of moving fastballs as sinking or 2-seam types, but you have this kind of arm speed, your 4-seamer jumps too. It usually explodes right at home plate. Almost tell by the way Jaso's catching it. It's like the ball hits his glove and his hand snapping back.
There's a strike.
Flash, who was the hardest thrower you ever caught? A guy with this kind of action, 4-seam through the zone that really jumped at you.
Remember a left-hander with the Seattle Mariners and Boston Red Sox, Matt Young. 95, 96, kind of was all over the place, but from the left side, boy, he threw hard.
Sometimes hit your catcher's glove and snap your wrist back a little bit.
You know, and a lefty who throws that fastball in on a right-hander, tough for a catcher because that's the one that really handcuffs you. It's a piece of that thumb inside that catcher's mitt.
Count 3-2 to Montero.
Well, a lot could be said when you watch how a pitcher finishes. You see Posada, last night's hero, getting ready. It's how you finish, how you land, and he's so comfortable the way he finishes, so under control. All that velocity comes within the context of his delivery.
And he walks Montero.
Watch how he lands. You see a lot of guys who throw the ball hard that really drive off that back leg and then fall off the mound. Not here. Just very comfortably landing. Very much under control. Big high leg kick. Flowing hands. Locks out the front leg to generate even more arm speed.
And Jim Hickey goes out and talks with Moore. Hey, take the Yankees with you when you travel out of the Yankees home territory. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see Yankees games live or on demand on your computer and your favorite devices. Visit Yankees.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere. So Joe Madden trying to nip it right in the bud before it gets started here in the 2nd inning. Swisher's at second. Montero's at first with 1 out. And here is Posada. And Posada starting against the left-hander gives him some at-bats from what has been a decidedly weaker side this year.
It's so nice to see him have that moment last night, and then he comes right back tonight, gets a start at first base. Crowd gets to show their appreciation again.
He has 6 hits and 60 at bats from the right side. So hitting 100 from the right side and 267. Check that, 270 from against right-handers. Get that right. Count 1 and 2.
You know, probably making too much out of this, but I look at the last 3 hitters: Andrew Jones, Montero, and now Posada, all auditioning for some right-handed at bats against a left-handed pitcher in the postseason.
Strike 3. Posada down looking. He was sitting fastball. He didn't get him.
You match up against the Texas Rangers. They have a couple of lefties in their rotation. That right-handed DH is going to be a big spot for the Yankees. You called it, Michael. Little slider up in the zone. Locks up Jorge Posada. The right side, for some reason, has just not been kind to him this year. Surprising about that, too. When I was with Jorge, it was like the right side was easy for him. It was his natural side. Didn't work at it a lot. It's not this year.
Brandon Laird takes inside. Laird getting the start at third. Voted the best defensive third baseman in the International League by Baseball America. Count 1 and 1.
Kind of seen his 3-pitch repertoire so far in the first 2 innings. That sweeping slider in the mid-80s, kind of a power changeup in the mid to upper 80s as well. Probably the best changeup he's thrown right there. Took a little more off of the previous ones. Had a little more depth and tilt to it. He's not afraid. He's complete. He's a complete 3-pitch pitcher. Will throw any of those 3 pitches.
Laird and Montero and Golson have to be familiar with Matt Moore. Scranton does face Durham in International League play. They're in separate divisions, but they do face each other. So each side familiar with the other's work. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Out with the breaking ball, and that will do it. So 5 strikeouts for Matt Moore in 2 innings, no runs a hit. 2 men left. We played 2. It's 5-0 Rays. The 50th anniversary of Roger Maris setting the single-season home run record. There's going to be a special pregame ceremony emceed by Billy Crystal and will include the Maris family, members of the Mantle family, and teammates of Rogers on the 1961 team. It's going to be great, so be sure to arrive early as the ceremonies will begin approximately at 6:15 p.m. with the Yankees game against the Red Sox to follow. 5-0 Tampa Bay as we go to the top of the third. And Colon starts up Damon with a strike. Colon has now allowed at least 4 runs in 5 of his last 7 starts, which would lead you to believe that maybe he is starting to feel some fatigue. There doesn't seem to be a drastic drop-off in stuff at all, though. Slapped into left center field. Golson on the run, and he can't make the play. Nice dive, though, and keeps it in front of him. And a base hit for Damon.
Michael, maybe not a drop-off in stuff, but you see a lot of balls over the middle of the plate here tonight and lately that we haven't seen earlier in the year. Nice bid by Golson. Most important part, keeping it in front, holding Johnny Damon to a single.
Here's Ben Zobrist. Pitches high for Johnny Damon, hit number 2,716. Count 2-0. Colon has allowed more runs in 2 innings than the Rays scored total in the first 3 games. They had 2 runs in each game of the doubleheader, and they were shut out on Tuesday. 3-1.
Montero behind the plate, not a lot you can do. You're just trying to hope to get a sinker, maybe down and away, and get a ground ball, take your chances. Pitcher struggling with location.
Driven deep to right field. There it goes. See ya. Into the second deck, a home run for Zobrist, and the Rays now lead 7-0. Throws the ball back on the field, but it counts nonetheless. 17th home run for Zobrist. 86 runs batted in, and a rough outing continues for Colon.
3-1 two-seamer, and the troubling part is just the flatness, the side-to-side movement. Zobrist able to get extended, go into the second deck.
Take a look at the Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. The 0-1 to Kochman is grounded to third. Nice play by Laird. He settles and fires. 1 away. Well, you don't want to make snap judgments, but you're running out of time. And I know, David, I think you and I both in lockstep that we thought that Colon should get a start in postseason. You changing your mind after what you see tonight?
Well, it is a bit troubling. You know, I mean, Bartolo, such a great season for the Yankees. What a resurrection he had. But, you know, just, you guys may be right. I mean, both of you have mentioned, you know, maybe it's just the fact that he hasn't pitched this deep into a season in so many years, that maybe he is just a little flat at this point, a little fatigued.
What's odd, though, David, is that 2 starts ago he looked really good in Anaheim, and then he struggled in Toronto, struggling again now.
You know, it's understandable that the team and possibly
popped up. Jeter drifts back to the second out.
You kind of figure after last night's celebration there's going to be a little flatness from the Yankees today and tonight. It's understandable, the starting pitcher too. I mean, it's easy to not be as locked in or have as much adrenaline flow that you normally would for a big game after you clinched the American League East last night. But
They just took a look at those numbers. The second half numbers don't even include tonight. Now the 2 runs in the second inning, those are unearned, so he's given up 5 earned runs. Because if Jeter had made the throw on Desmond Jennings, that would have been the end of the inning.
One of the keys I look for Bartolo, and as you said 2 starts ago in Anaheim, he had this, Michael, is late movement.
Fly ball, a swisher, and that's going to do it. But 2 more runs, 2 hits, no errors, nobody left. The big blow on the bat of Ben Zobrist. Go to the bottom of the 3rd, 7-0 Rays. Is brought to you in part by the Ides of March. In theaters October 7th, rated R. By Grey Goose, the world's best tasting vodka. And by HP, everybody on. So we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. And it's 7-0. Tampa Bay on the Lincoln scoreboard. So the Yankees have some ground to make up as Greg Golson will lead off against the rookie Matt Moore. Some more Cologne stats. In his past 7 starts, including tonight, he's allowed 27 earned runs over 39 in the 3rd inning, so that's a 6.18 ERA. And in the postseason, you're playing with such a small margin of error. You can't have that one bad start. That could knock you out of the season. Pitch outside, but where do they go? Do they go to Freddie Garcia? Phil Hughes with his back injury, is he going to be ready to start? Do you risk giving the ball to A.J. Burnett? Bartolo has not won since July 30th. That's what makes this Yankee team so intriguing, because if you think about it, how many really outstanding teams like the Yankees go into the postseason with this many question marks, where you just don't know who your number 2 starter is going to be? I guess you know it's Nova, but you think it is. Well, the question marks were always, where do we want to pitch, let's say, Randy Johnson? Do we want to pitch him at home or on the road? Is he going to pitch game 2 or game 3? You always knew who the starters were going to be. You just wanted to match them up in their most comfortable environment.
Everyone is in play. Freddie Garcia, A.J. Burnett. According to Brian Cashman, too, they're confident Phil Hughes is going to be a viable option as well, regardless of his back situation. 2-2. Golson could not hold up. They get the angle. They make the out at first very quietly. He's rung up 6 strikeouts, 1 out into the 3rd inning. Starting to get a feel for this slider, too. That's a good one. Right over the heart of home plate. I'm a big believer in bouncing that curveball, especially when it looks like it's right down the middle and it hits the dirt right on the other side of the middle of home plate.
You're a right-handed batter. You do not usually see 95, 96, and it'll get your attention. You're going to take some swings on sliders. They don't even have to be real good because you're pumped up for the fastball.
Sort of like you said, Flash. Not quite a curve, not quite a slider.
Strike on the outside corner.
But it's got good spin and late break, no matter what you call it.
Jeter quickly down on the count, 0-2. Don't know if Cologne's night is over. Probably is. There's action in the Yankee bullpen. Not the night he envisioned. The 0-2. And Jeter strikes out. Every single out other than the tapper back to the mound by Nunez has been a strikeout.
Fastball inside. Derek Jeter struck out twice now. Sure, there are a ton of scouts watching in the stands tonight, and they can watch all they want. They're not getting this gift from the Rays. You can fill out their reports and send them in their organizations, but Tampa looks like they have another good young pitcher.
And every good young pitcher that comes up, that means that they can make a smart deal for one of the pitchers that are getting closer to arbitration or getting closer to free agency. Maybe James Shields might be a guy they dealt. They dealt Matt Garza last year. So
yeah.
Maybe Shields goes this winter.
The Rays are famous for all those starts of pitchers under 30. Shields now approaching 30 years old, so he's old by their standards.
That's right.
You know? In my opinion, young Matt Moore here, just from what we've seen, is much more of a complete pitcher than David Price was when he came up.
That one is tapped over the mound. Zobrist not in time as Nunez beat it out.
Nunez will take it. A little backdoor slider, gets out of the box in good shape, busting it down the line. Zobrist comes in. That's about all he could have done. Looked like a little bang bang play. It's out.
It looks like he did enough. Yeah, he was out. Here's Mark Teixeira. Ball gets away from Jaso and then allows Nunez to go to second.
David, you say that about Price. What, Moore has 3 pitches?
Yes. You know, we've already seen him throw several changeups. A little better command of his breaking stuff. David Price came up, as we'll see here. This is that changeup that he overthrows just a little bit. Front of home plate. The big bounce off of Jaso's chest protector. But yes, he's a much better repertoire, more complete repertoire than David Price when he came up. In fact, David Price almost had to learn how to pitch a little more once they put him in the rotation. If you remember when he first broke in, he was so outstanding for the Rays in postseason, coming out the pen, almost in a closer's role.
Yeah.
With just power stuff, power fastball and a slider.
On drive right at Brignac, and that'll do it. No runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We played 3 here at the stadium. It's 7-0 Rays. has 134 runs scored. Who's the only Yankee since 1940 to score at least 145 runs in a season? We'll find that out in the bottom of the inning. New pitcher for the how you doing? New pitcher for the Yankees as they trail 7-0. Bartolo Colon's been knocked out of the game, and it'll be Scott Proctor coming on.
Oh, what a nice moment there. Father and daughter texting during the game. A nice modern moment.
Pitch outside to Desmond Jennings.
I got an interesting little tidbit for you here, Michael.
All right.
On this date in history, in 1966, the Yankees at Yankee Stadium drew 416 fans on a rain-out makeup. The lowest crowd in Yankee Stadium history. This date in history, 1966.
Pitch is high.
2 straight rainouts. The third game drew 416 fans. This straight from Bob the Baker in the food room before the game. That's how I do my reconnaissance. I don't go to the clubhouse and talk to managers and players. I go talk to Bob the Baker. I mean, Bill the Baker. But Bob the Builder, that's the one. He built. Bob the Builder built Yankee Stadium. Bill the Baker, longtime fixture. There he is.
There he is.
Bill the Baker.
He knows his stuff. What a memory. Now 3-1 on Jennings.
Can you imagine that? 416 fans at Yankee Stadium.
Small, intimate gathering. And the old ballpark was enormous. It held 70,000 people, so that kind of got lost, I'm sure, in the seats.
Had a tough rain season in 1966 too. 2 straight rainouts. Finally played the game. Nobody showed up.
Desmond Jennings walks. Our boss, John Filippelli, just emailed me and said that that game was against the White Sox and he was a vendor in the game. And because he made so little money vending, that's why I got into the TV business. I mean, there were only 400 people there.
Well, according to Bill the Baker, he said that Red Barber, then obviously the famous Red Barber, wanted the cameras on the stands. And the Yankees didn't want him to do that. Red Barber said, "No, we have to show the stands. This is history at Yankee Stadium." But he was not allowed.
I think he got in a lot of trouble because he mentioned the attendance too. It was frowned upon. That one's driven deep to left center field. Going back, Golson still back. See ya. Home run for B.J. Upton. A 2-run shot. And the Rays lead 9-0. Not a good night for the Yanks. So Upton has a triple and a home run, and we're in the 4th inning.
Well, he hits this ball a long way, too. Like Scott Proctor rolled the slider in there, and it's down. Problem is it's down middle. Good extension you see from the side here from Upton. It's that good backspin on the baseball, and it carries a long way. Home run number 22.
There's a strike to Longoria.
Doesn't look like the same Rays team we've watched for 3 days, having trouble scoring runs, busting out here tonight.
That one would have been rolling around the monuments in 1966.
Grounded to Jeter, and he boots it. We'll see how they score that. That's a play he usually makes. But it would have been a difficult play. So the official scorer has a tough call on this one.
Almost automatic for Derek. So sure-handed and so accurate with his arm. We've seen 2 plays that you almost never see from Derek Jeter.
E6, so 2 errors for Jeter. There's a strike to Matt Joyce.
Derek thinking, Flash, maybe you should take the night off at this point after the champagne celebration last night.
On the other side, though, swinging a hot bat, it came in at what, 298. You're thinking, might be able to get over 300.
Derek came in leading the American League in batting average against left-handed pitching this year too. 357 average. Not your normal lefty you're facing tonight, though.
No.
Popped up. Jeter called off by Jones, and Jones makes the play. There's Johnny Damon. Count 0-1. That one is driven deep to right field. Going back, Swisher, track, wall, see ya. A 2-run home run for Damon. And the Rays all over the Yankees. It's 11-0.
You wonder if Scott Proctor saw this coming a little bit. The first pitch he threw was way wide. Then he threw a backup slider up and in. Didn't look like he had a feel for any of his pitches, and it's been a long inning so far, and there's only 1 out. Damon, a fastball down and in. We've seen that swing plenty of times. So he puts his head down. Knows it'll be enough. A 2-run shot. The Rays now lead 11-0.
There's a strike to Zobrist. That one's drilled deep to right. Fair ball, it's gone. It is a foul ball. Line drive, a base hit. So Zobrist picks up a single. He's 3 for 3.
We talk about sports and momentum. The Rays struggling those first 3 games. Now all of a sudden it's like sharks in blood-infested water. You know, they just feel it. They all start swinging the bats. One guy gets hot, everybody gets hot.
Kochman takes low.
And Joe Girardi, you're going to leave Scott Proctor out there to kind of wear it a little bit. got to think about his bullpen, the rest of the arms, the rest of the season, keeping guys fresh for the postseason. Looks like Proctor's got to take one for the team here.
David, ever feel just helpless out there?
Yeah, at times it does. I mean, the momentum swings, and it seems like everybody's so comfortable on the Rays side just in this particular game.
And Kochman walks. And Larry Rothschild going to talk with Proctor, but there's no action in the bullpen, so he's going to try to talk him down. Give him some hope. This might be a game where we get a chance to see an Andrew Brackman or a Dylan Betances, kids that are up to experience what it is to be in the big leagues, and two of the Yankees' bigger pitching prospects. Maybe they get a chance.
You got to believe they're in the bullpen too, thinking the same thing. That heart rate starts racing a little bit faster.
Now we do see a left-hander throwing. It's Aaron Laffey. And the kids must also be thinking, if they're not using us now, I don't think we're getting into a game.
First major league start, Michael. That helpless feeling you asked me about with the Mets. They gave up 10 runs in 5 innings. Had to take one for the team, Flash. And it was a helpless feeling. It was against the Houston Astros. See, this is exactly the conversation Mel Stottlemyre had with me on that night I'm talking about. Let's go. We need you. You got to stay out here. Our bullpen's a little thin.
Yep.
Giving out to center field. Deep. Golson back. He'll make the play for the second out as Zobrist goes to third. And that'll bring up Reed Brignac. Count 1-0. Line drive into center field, and Golson's going to play it on a hop. Zobrist will score, RBI single for Brignac, and now it's 12-0.
Beat goes on. The hitters get a little more aggressive. The pitchers get a little more defensive. A tough year for Reed Brignac. The hits have been few and far between for him.
Here's Desmond Jennings, and there's a strike. Started the inning with a walk, so Rays have batted around. 4 runs in the first 3 games, 5 runs in this inning alone, 12 overall. 3-2.
Pretty impressed with young Desmond Jennings so far. We talked about him breaking in and having such a great start and then kind of slumping, but this particular series he swung the bat pretty well.
Grounded foul.
When I first saw him, I thought of Austin Jackson, the former Yankees farmhand who's now in Detroit, came part of the Curtis Granderson deal, but Jennings looks a little stronger, like he might have a little more power. Highly touted minor league prospect. Broke in with a flourish with the Rays. Already 10 home runs this year.
Count 3-2. Proctor's throwing 95, but it's straight and it's not in the best spot. Popped up. Proctor's not even looking at Jeter catching the ball, and that will do it. As the Rays score 5 runs, 2 big home runs in the inning, B.J. Upton goes yard. And then a couple of the batters later, Johnny Damon goes deep. 12-0 Rays.
Well, it is time for the New York State Smokers Quit Line Quiz answer, and you remember the question. Curtis Granderson has 134 runs scored. Who is the only Yankee since 1940 to score at least 145 runs in a season? The answer is Ricky Henderson, 146 in 1985.
Rico.
Ramiro Pena is going to pinch hit for Nick Swisher. And there's a strike. Popped up. Kochman makes the play. You know, the Reb Barber story that you brought up, David, that did, in fact, get him fired, the longtime broadcaster, because it was a makeup game in the Yankee organization. told both the radio and television broadcast don't mention how many people are here, and he refused to do it, so he did mention it, and he ended up getting fired. And to show you how far we've come as an industry, this is a makeup game as well. And you know what? There are empty seats that we can show in the upper deck in left field. And I feel very, very emboldened to do that and tell you that it's still a nice crowd, but there are empty seats in the upper deck. We'll take a look at it so you know that we're not under the Red Barber principle, and we can actually say it. Now they're not showing it, and they're hanging me out to dry.
Does that mean I'm not going to get fired?
Swung on and missed. Well, let's see. All right, this is the empty seats in the upper deck. No, I don't think you're going to be fired. If anybody goes, it'll be me, David.
See John Filippelli light up your phone, just don't answer it.
There's only 416 fans in that one section.
Flip just actually told me a story about that game where he said that he was a vendor out in left field. He was talking during the game to the White Sox outfielder, Walt No-Neck Williams, who said, hold on, I got to make this catch, and just ran. Swing and a miss. And Moore has been impressive. So 8 strikeouts for Moore.
Kind of been interested to watch Moore here with a 12-run lead. Is he going to change his game plan? He's pitching like it's a 1-0 game here in the 4th. Mixing his pitches, good fastball up in the zone to Andrew Jones.
Excellent. High cheese, perfect location. 96 right at the letters.
Montero turns that one around and lines into the left for a base hit. Jennings cuts it off and gets it in, so Montero with a 2-out single. New third baseman for the Rays, Sean Rodriguez, takes over for Longoria. Now, if you're a Yankee fan, you're probably going to hang around. I know I'm intrigued. I would like to see Brackman or Betances pitch. And right now, neither warming. It's Aaron Laffey, but it's 12-0. It's kind of got a spring training feel as you pinch hit Pena for a swisher. This might be the perfect opportunity to see a kid like Dylan Betances. Right now, it's Laffey. Now the Yankees have a couple more young pitchers coming tomorrow. Dave Phelps, Adam Warren, and Manny Banuelos are expected here tomorrow to observe. They can't be in uniform in the clubhouse during games, but they will sit in on scouting meetings. They're going to shag balls during BP, etc., just to get a feel of being around the team, being what a major leaguer is.
Nice series, you know, to watch the Red Sox come in, the electricity. Nice reward for a good season in the minor leagues.
The Yankees did that with Derek Jeter. David, you remember it in the '95 playoffs. He was not active, but they had him sit there and say, this is what we play for, and this is the atmosphere that we want to be in all the time. And he said he learned a lot from that.
He did, and he was the first one out of the dugout to shake my hand after I threw ball 4 to Doug Strange in Game 5 in that Seattle series to tie the game 4-4.
Swing and a miss, and Posada down on strikes. 9 strikeouts for Warren. No runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left. We go to the 5th. It's 12-0 Rays. Wow. Time for the call to the bullpen by Joe Girardi, brought to you by AT&T. And the third Yankee pitcher, Bartolo Colon, started. He went 3. Scott Proctor gave up 5 runs in the 4th, and now Aaron Laffey here in the 5th. Laffey's numbers between Seattle and New York. We'll have a talk with Jesus Montero. Ramiro Pena takes over at shortstop for the Yankees. And there's a new right fielder as well. Chris Dickerson takes over for Swisher. So Dickerson will be batting in the leadoff spot vacated by Derek Jeter. Sell a scoreboard, 12-0 Tampa Bay. There's a strike. That one is driven out to right field. Dickerson on the run. He's got to play it off the wall. Upton makes a big turn. He'll stop right there. And Upton is a double away from the cycle. Walk, single, or hit by pitch, single, triple, and a home run.
Can have a few more at bats too if he wants it. Laffey, a fastball out over the plate. Upton, who really stays on his backside, driving it off the wall. Dickerson, a nice job getting it in.
Get extra points for a hit by pitch in a cycle.
Here's Sean Rodriguez, his first at bat. Longoria, while he was in there, 1 for 2, a walk, 2 runs scored, RBI. And a strike.
Well, tough night for Montero behind the plate too. You feel like every sign you put down is the wrong one. Obviously not his fault, but a couple of different pitchers, and the Rays have been all over the Yankee staff.
Hot shot past a lunging Laird into left field, so a base hit for Sean Rodriguez. Well, there's a shot of the Mohegan Sun Sports Bar situated in center field. The Mohegan Sun Sports Bar is a great place to gather and enjoy the game. That's going to bring up Matt Joyce. Of interest in the American League, the Angels lead Toronto 3-1, bottom of the 6th inning. Game with wild card implications.
And Oakland beat Texas, it looks like, 4-3.
Yep. And Detroit has tied up Baltimore 5-5 at the bottom of the 5th. The Orioles led that one 5-1. And those are all important because you're jockeying for who's going to have the second best record, who's going to be the one who plays a team with the best record, which should be the Yankees. So all of those scores are of interest to the Yankees. The best record race, Yankees are well in front, with, including this game. They have 7 games left, and they're 5 up over the Tigers and 6 up over the Rangers now after the Ranger loss. Popped up. Coming on is Golson, and he'll make the play for the first out. Why don't we check out some information with Bob Lorenz back in the studio, Bob? Thank you, Bob. And the last 3 games of the season between the Angels and the Rangers, so they'll be able to decide their own fate if they stay within 3 going into Monday. Russ Kanzler is going to pinch hit for Johnny Damon.
Kanzler, the International League MVP. Fifth player that Durham has ever had to have the MVP honor.
Pitch outside.
Dan Johnson, Kevin Witt, Toby Hall, Steve Cox, also MVPs of the International League.
Did your path cross with Toby Hall?
Toby Hall took my job at Tampa. An international MVP, of course he did. Deserved it.
Kanzler this year at AAA, 314, 18 homers, and 83 ribbies. He's from Berwick, Pennsylvania.
Started you on the path back to New York, though, Flash.
Sorry?
Started you on the path to get back to New York, though.
The
Yankees.
It did. Toby and I actually got along great. Yeah, it was his time. You know, it was a young team down there. Steve Cox is the guy. He was the International League MVP, came up to the big leagues. Remember, his first year was hitting over 300 the first half, thinking about making the All-Star team as a first baseman, and then completely fell off the face of the earth. Never could quite figure that out. League figured him out. He could not make adjustments.
Lined into center field. It is a base hit. Upton is going to stop right there as the bases are loaded. Kanzler picks up a pinch hit single. And that is his first big league hit, so they'll get that baseball. And that's got to feel good.
I was watching him take BP today. He's got some big time opposite field power. You see the hands a little bit low, and the approach right back up the middle. First big league hit, Yankee Stadium, not a bad place to do it.
Used that bat in the first 3 games, maybe.
Here's Zobrist. And a strike. Popped up. Dickerson makes the catch. Tagging is Upton. And he will score, and it's 13-0 Tampa Bay.
Casey Kotchman.
Come on, Joe. There's Casey Kotchman. Kotchman is 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Pitch outside. Grounded, base hit. And they're going to hold up the runner at third as the throw comes into Montero, and the bases are reloaded.
You know, and the beat goes on. As we said, when it rains, it pours. Right down the middle, Kotchman and everybody in the Rays lineup feeling very comfortable right now, very aggressive.
Well, they haven't had much to smile about the first 3 days, but they are desperately trying to hang on to a wild card dream. And looks like they're going to post a W tonight as the Red Sox are idle. Here's John Jaso. And a strike from Laffey.
Yankees not getting a whole lot of answers to their little showcase lineup and pitching from Bartolo Colon tonight.
Tried to tie him up. Did he go? Yes, he did, said Scott Barry. The 0-2. Swing and a miss, and Laffey strikes out Jason. But one more run on 4 hits, and the bases are left loaded. We're halfway through. It's 13-0 Rays. Been impressive, David.
Yeah, he was highly touted. You see right by Derek Jeter, 96. There's a changeup to Teixeira, just off the plate with 96. There's the slider. Here's another razor blade, and a third one. Right on by again, and upstairs with gas. So you saw all 3 pitches, all above average.
9 strikeouts in 4 innings. On the Acela scoreboard, it's 13-0 Tampa Bay. And that'll bring up Brandon Laird. There's a strike. New left fielder for the Rays is Justin Ruggiano. And the new first baseman is Dan Johnson. Count 0-2.
Change up for more. I mean, you know, a good young pitcher is using all his pitches tonight. You can eventually see him going through a lineup, one-time fastball changeup, then the next time working in a slider as he matures. He misses inside, not missing by a lot either.
Served into right field. It's a base hit. Joyce slipped. So Brandon Laird picks up a single.
You'll take it if you're Laird. Fastball down and away. Nice job after the fastball in. Just to stay on it and slap it the other way.
Here's Greg Golson. Count 0-1. High fly ball center field. Up that almost didn't move. One away. You know, David, you were telling me before, and it was the end of the inning. I found it intriguing when the Yankees brought up Jeter to just experience what the postseason was about in '95, and he's the first guy out to greet you. The fact that it stayed with you all these years later, I guess you were kind of stunned by that.
Yeah, it made a big impression. Just the way he carried himself from day one in the big leagues. He was the leader. He acted like he belonged. He did belong. He probably was ready to play more in '95 than we gave him credit for, much like Mariano Rivera. Rivera was ready then, too. Mariano Rivera relieved me in that particular game of the '95 playoffs against Seattle in Game 5 and struck out Jay Buhner on 3 straight pitches. And then was proceeded to be taken out of the game by Buck Showalter. Derek Jeter as well that year in '95 when he came up in the games that he did get into looked very good and ready to play. And that '95 postseason experience certainly helped them. But yes, Derek Jeter was the first one off the bench to shake my hand after 147 pitches and a walk with the bases loaded to tie that game up. The next year, Derek was the starting shortstop on opening day. Had a great day. Won the Rookie of the Year that year.
And the interesting thing about that story is when Mariano just broke the save record on Monday, all the stories came out about how the Yankees almost lost him. Because the Yankees had a meeting in spring training in '96 as Dickerson swings and misses, strikeout number 10 for more. All the scouts and all the advisors were sitting around and they were saying, can Jeter play shortstop? And the late Clyde King was a close advisor to George Snow. He said, I don't think he's ready to play shortstop on this team if you think you can win a World Series. So then they were told to investigate other options, and Felix Fermin of the Mariners was available, and they wanted either Bob Wickman or Mariano Rivera. And at that meeting, Willie Randolph stood up and said, no. You said you're going to give this kid a shot. You have to give him a shot. He can play. I'm telling you he can play. And they decided to open the season with him. And as David said, the first game in Cleveland makes a great over-the-shoulder catch and a home run off Dennis Martinez and never looked back. But with that one deal that might have been made, you might not have had a Derek Jeter and you might not have had a Mariano Rivera. So it shows you how close you can come to fouling up the timeline that leads to what we've seen. The 0-1 off the foot of Nunez.
It's the last thing you want to see if you're Joe Girardi. A little slider and fouled off that front foot of Nunez. Obviously, you're taking it on the chin here, 13-0, but you'd hate to lose a player in a game like this.
Andrew Brackman might get a chance to see the big right-hander. Former basketball player at NC State. Swing and a miss and another strikeout for Matt Moore. He has 11 in 5 innings against the Yankees. No runs ahead. One man left. It's an official game as we go to the 6th. It's 13-0 Tampa Bay. for another look at tonight's Toyota text poll. Once again, the question, which of the current wild card leaders is more likely to make the playoffs? And you've been texting us at 58772. Here's how you voted. How close? Neither. 35, that's the one that won. Neither. I don't know. Laffey against Brignac, who serves the ball to left. Andrew Jones there. One away. You know, we were talking about that Game 5 in Seattle, David, which to me was one of the classic games. And I don't know if you've thought about this a lot, but I have quite a bit. How many lives that game changed. If you don't have to go 147 pitches, and they know what they have in Mariano Rivera, they might win that game. Then they go and play the Indians, who you guys beat up on that year in the regular season. You might go to the World Series. Buck Showalter probably stays. Joe Torre never becomes Joe Torre with 4 World Series rings. Maybe they don't make the trade for Tino Martinez, and on and on. Have you ever thought how many people would be affected? That one is driven out into right center field. And a nice play by Dickerson.
Undoubtedly, yeah. The Yankees organization almost had a direct pivot on a dime in terms of direction because of that game. Speaking of almost a pivot on a dime, Dickerson with the slide.
Well, that's going to be it for Laffey. Joe Girardi takes the ball from the lefty, and now Andrew Brackman brings his 6'10" frame in from the bullpen, and he's about to make his major league debut. I cut him off, a 6'11", I'm sorry, 13-0 Tampa Bay. Did not have a great season, although he was better once he moved to the bullpen. So this was his first year at AAA, 33 games, 13 starts, and really struggled as a starter, so they moved him into the bullpen, and he was better. Hard-throwing, tall right-hander. Now B.J. Upton swings at the first pitch and pops it up. Andrew Jones coming in, and Brackman says this is easy. So his major league debut, 1 pitch, 1 out. He's got to feel pretty good about life right now as we move to the bottom of the 6th. season again, and as always, Yes is going to follow the Yankees on their quest for a 28th championship. Our playoff coverage starts next Thursday at 7 with our Yankees postseason preview special. Plus, we'll have extended pre- and post-game coverage of every Yankees postseason game because no one, and I mean no one, knows the Yankees like the Yes Network. Well, Matt Moore's day is over. 5 innings, very, very impressive. He struck out 11 batters. And he has now set the Rays record for most strikeouts in his first start. Previous record holder was Ray Davis, who had 9 strikeouts in 2009 against Detroit. And I turn it over to Dane De La Rosa. And Austin Romine is pinch hitting for Mark Teixeira. There's a strike.
Well, came to the ballpark looking forward to seeing Matt Moore, all the hype and everybody talking about his delivery, how hard he threw. He did not disappoint. I didn't realize he had that good of off-speed pitches. Good slider, good changeup.
Yeah, on his short stint in the big league so far, he's averaged a little more than 95 miles an hour with his fastball. The hardest throwers in the league, Justin Verlander, average about 95 miles an hour. Alexi Ogando in Texas, throughout the course of the year, his average velocity about 95. Matt Moore right at the top of the heap with the velocity on his fastball, but as I said, he's a complete pitcher. He's got 3 pitches that are all well above average. Compared to his other #1 teammate, David Price, pretty good two lefties right there, 2 power lefties. Future's very bright for that Rays rotation.
De La Rosa deals and Romine swings and misses. So Upton is a double away from the cycle, but he's not going to get it because they put in Justin Ruggiano in center. Brandon Guyer takes over for Ruggiano in left. I wonder why they do that. I mean, they must know he's a double away. Late in the season, giving guys some rest. There's Pena. And De La Rosa deals a strike. There's a base hit for Ramiro Pena. That broke an 0 for 28 slump for him since June 15th. Longest slump for Yankee players since Nick Johnson went hitless in 27 straight at bats from 2003 to 2010, spanning 2 tours of duty with the Yankees. Andrew Jones takes outside. Fouled away. You find it strange, John, that they take out Upton when he's a double short and he could have 2 more at bats?
It is strange. I mean, one of those individual records that I'm sure he would enjoy, or at least the opportunity to try to get. Joe Madden more concerned about getting him some rest.
That one's driven deep to left center field. That ball is gone. See ya. A long home run for Andrew Jones, and the Yankees are on the board. Tampa Bay leads 13-2.
Home run of the year for Andrew Jones. A couple of strikeouts against the lefty Matt Moore. Good fastball here from De La Rosa, and it looked like Andrew just tightened it up a little bit quicker, getting ready for the pitch. Been late on fastballs all night, was not late on that one.
There's Montero. And a strike. Montero walked and singled so far tonight. Andrew Jones with 12 home runs and 31 runs batted in. Fouled away. Smile a little when you're trailing 13-2 when you clinched the American League East the night before. That's a hot shot, base hit down the left field line. Kicks off the sidewall. Geyer comes up throwing. And Montero smartly stops at first, down 13-2.
Saw Montero when he came up early. Good power the other way. Stroke seems to be to right center. But he was quick right there with his hands. Starting to cover the whole plate. A league is going to try to exploit him inside. He answered the challenge there.
Well, most scouts that have seen a lot of Montero in the minor leagues have said for a while that he's been ready to hit in the big leagues. He's got the skills to be an excellent hitter in the big leagues. The only question was, is he ready to catch?
Posada grounds one to first. Tough hop off of Dan Johnson and goes into right field. That might be a hit because it was such a tough hop. And it is a base hit for Posada.
Posada hits this ball hard with a lot of topspin.
After looking at the replay, I wonder why that's a hit, because it wasn't a bad hop. It just kind of was a fast hop and he didn't get his glove up.
Almost like his glove got in front of his eyes. Lost a little sight of the ball for a minute.
There's Brandon Laird. Swing and a miss. Yankees had 4 hits through the first 5 innings. They now have 4 hits in the 6th inning alone. But Matt Moore's out of the game. Now 1-2. Bottom of the 7th inning, Angels and Toronto now tied at 3. Swing and a miss. Laird down on strikes.
De La Rosa found a weakness, a slider down and away. It looked like Laird was not picking up the spin that whole at bat.
And here's Greg Olson. Grounded toward third and foul. Olson made one of the great defensive plays for the Yankees last year. Playing right field, it was against Tampa Bay. And I believe it was B.J. Upton trying to tag from second with 2 outs, with the second out settling to the glove of Golson in right field. And here it is. What a throw. And Upton was out. Now one is chopped slowly to short. Brignat gets the hustling Golson for the final out. But the Yankees get 2 runs on 4 hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. A 2-run home run by Andrew Jones. Brought to you by your local Nissan dealer. It's been all Tampa Bay, 13-15-0, 2-8-3 for the Yankees. 2 errors by Jeter. Upton 3 for 4, double away from the cycle. Damon and Zobrist each had home runs. Each had 3 runs batted in. And Matt Moore made his major league starting debut. 5 innings, 4 hits, didn't allow a run, walked 1, struck out 11. Andrew Brackman making his major league debut. Deals a strike. Andrew was the 30th pick in the first round, but the Yankees drafted him in 2007 knowing that he had to have Tommy John surgery. He missed the next 2 seasons, came back in 2009 and actually struggled. Then he really pitched well in 2010 and they thought he was ready to take the next step. But this year he struggled mightily as a starter, 2-5 with a 6.75, and they put him in the bullpen. And he pitched much better there. So part of the growing pains and what we've seen in baseball history as well, and we see the resume on Andrew, is tall pitchers take longer to come together. And the perfect example is Randy Johnson. There's so many moving parts that have to be moving in sync. Sometimes it takes a long time, and sometimes it never happens.
Watching some of this inning, it looks like he's got a little cut on his fastball, not really throwing that hard. You can see the tallest players in Major League Baseball history.
That fastball 93 miles an hour.
More like a slider with the action down and away. Hard cut fastball.
Cadillac scoreboard 13-2 Tampa Bay. So Brackman came on to retire Upton for the final out of the 6th inning. 1 pitch, 1 out. Behind Sean Rodriguez. This is a curveball.
That's how you hit the bull in Bull Durham.
Grounded to third, and Rodriguez is out.
They give Robbie Kukuza, the clubhouse guy, a little credit. I mean, how do you get pants that tall? Going with the slacks too, all the way down on the spikes.
Was a basketball player at North Carolina State as well as playing baseball. Given the other way and foul.
Good for him, his major league debut. He's pounding the strike zone.
So, David, you had this major league debut on the mound. Is he having fun out there, or is he scared?
I think, you know, right now, I think he's feeling pretty good about it. Maybe when he first went out there, there's definitely some nerves. But, you know, Flash is right. It looks like he's taking a cue from Mariano Rivera and off-centering that four-seamer and getting some good cut action on it. Surprised more people don't try to copy that guy, Mariano Rivera, out there. That's some big movement.
Went to Moeller High School in Cincinnati. They've got some pretty famous alum. Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Larkin, all the Bells, Andrew Brackman. Three and two. Who picked up his first big league hit in the fifth. He's on deck. The 3-2, and Brackman walked him. Now it'll be interesting to see how he pitches out of the stretch with that tall frame.
These guys have to have some history. There are the numbers at Durham, AAA, 18 and 83. Brackman pitching at Scranton against Durham.
Swing and a miss. Bartolo Colon started this game and really didn't have much over 3 innings, so the Yankees have been trying to piece it together out of the bullpen since. So we're getting our first look at Andrew Brackman. 1-1. Pitch outside, 2-1.
Kind of shows you how good Mariano Rivera is. You know, a lot of people can cut their fastballs and make it move. Not so many people have the pinpoint control to get it where you need to be.
Popped up. Dickerson is there for the second half. Let's check out tomorrow's starting pitchers. Brought to you by Verizon Fios. Visit us online at verizon.com/getfios. Get the best deals on Fios. John Lester goes for the Red Sox, 15 and 8, 3.15. Freddie Garcia for the Yankees, 11 and 8, 3.77. All of our coverage begins at 6 with the BP show 6:30 pregame and 7:07 first pitch. Red Sox are so desperate for starters right now. They tried to swing a deal earlier this week for the Mets' Chris Capuano. And they were going to start Capuano on Sunday against the Yankees, but that deal fell through. The Mets actually held him back for a while so that he'd be ready to start on Sunday for the Red Sox, but they couldn't come to an agreement, and he actually pitched today for the Mets. That one is hammered to right field, and Dickerson can't handle it. He drops the ball. We'll see how they score that. It was hit hard, but it should be a play that's made.
Zobrist hits this right on the nose. You wonder maybe if the lights come into play. It doesn't look like it. It looks like he sees it all the way, just in and out of the glove as he's sliding. be an error, another error for the Yankees.
Elliott Johnson will pinch run for Zobrist. And Ruggiano takes a strike. Four errors for the Yankees in this game. 13-15-0 for the Rays. 2-8-4 for the Yanks. Brackman is one of the Yankees' killer bees that we talked about in spring training a lot. Manny Banuelos, Andrew Brackman, and Dylan Betances. Banuelos is going to join the team more in a observing role. He can't be put on the roster. He's not on the 40-man. And Betances is actually in the bullpen and active. Fouled away. And there is Dylan Betances. A 1-2. Grounded. A base hit through the left side. Andrew Jones gets the ball in, and the bases are loaded. You got Brackman on the mound at 6'11". You got Betances warming up at 6'8". Yankees are building a nice front line. And then when you consider their bullpen coach, Mike Harkey, is also very, very large. So that's an NBA front line. What, ever on a clipboard, David?
Clipboard?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Really?
Used to keep the charts. You know, back in the day when we did it pen to paper, just like that. We used to keep the pitcher's chart.
And it was your clipboard, or was it the team's clipboard?
It was the team's clipboard.
So you have never really owned one?
No.
There's a strike. How about you, John?
The kids have a clipboard back home, that little arts and crafts room.
And you bought it, so you own it.
Bought the room. I don't know if I bought the clipboard.
Count 1-2 on Jaso. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Yankees down 13-2, top of the 7th.
Bases loaded, going to make or break your debut right here, right? You're going to have an ERA or not. What's it going to be in the box score tomorrow, depending on this hitter?
David, I kind of like what I'm seeing. You know, he's a little funky. Obviously 6'11", but the ball cutting every pitch. And he's kind of been around the strike zone, you know?
Line right at short, and Payne is there. So he works into and out of trouble. No runs a hit, 1 error, and the bases are left loaded. We played 6.5 here at the stadium. Time for the 7th inning stretch. The Rays at 13, the Yankees 2, but we'll stay right here to honor America in the Bronx.
On silent prayer, as we remember the servicemen and women who are serving our country at home and around the globe. Thank you. Now join in Kate Smith's rendition of God Bless America.
Jack and Kim on the postgame show, and you can vote along with us for tonight's Chevy Player of the Game. Text your vote to 58772 or vote online at YesNetwork.com. Tonight's candidates are number 1, Matt Moore, number 2, Johnny Damon, number 3, Ben Zobrist, number 4, BJ Upton. Vote now and make your voice heard. Standard text messaging rates apply. There's a future Yankee right there. He's in the set. And Dickerson grounds the first pitch to first. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Going up there leading off the 7th, swinging the bat down 13-2, trying to slug your way back in this thing.
Cadillac scoreboard 13-2 Tampa Bay. Congratulations have to go out to Fordham Athletic Director Frank McLaughlin and his wife Susan. They became grandparents. Tara McLaughlin Blaney and her husband Brian gave birth to Brooke Hanson Blaney last night. All are doing well, so congratulations to Frank and Susan, much too young to be grandparents.
Brooke Blaney?
Brooke Blaney.
Nice.
It's going to be tough for her to say when she's young. Brooke Blaney. The 0-2 served into right field, a base hit for Nunez, his second hit of the night.
Nunez has really come on this year offensively. I mean, obviously good numbers in the minor leagues. But you think back to the first game yesterday against Shields, one of the best pitchers in the American League. He was all over him every at bat. He matured as a hitter this year.
Early Christmas clinch, I guess. The Rays played the role of Grinch tonight when it came to Bartolo Colon. Colon just couldn't do it. Gave up 3 in the first, 2 in the second, and 2 in the third. And might have pitched himself out of the playoff rotation. Yankees have not tipped their hand with that at all. But they have to make a decision pretty soon. And it's not as if they have a plethora of candidates to take that third start. It just seems certain now that Nova is one of the postseason starters, and that you, of course, have CeCe. After that, is it Garcia? Is it Colon? Is it Burnett? Is it Hughes? Do they go with 3? Do they go with 4? These are all the questions they're going to have to solve over the next 6 games.
Yankees have really played it close to the vest too as well. Joe Girardi very curt in his answers about his rotation and playoff rotation.
That one gets away from Jaso and allows Nunez to move to second.
Brian Cashman as well, you know, keeping all options on the table, including Phil Hughes, who had an epidural shot in his aching back. So, all hands on deck.
I just assumed with that shot, you know, being shut down for a few days, that he would be out of the running. Not the case, huh, Dave?
According to Brian Cashman, they fully expect him to be available not only to pitch this weekend, but to be you know, one of the options for postseason as a starter or reliever.
Romine serves that one into right field. It's a base hit. Nunez had to hold up, so he advances to third. Romine with a single. You know what's interesting too? I don't know if they're playing coy, if they're being secretive, or they simply don't know right now. I think it could be as simple as that. So Romine picks up his second big league hit. And that brings up Ramiro Pena. Strike. Grounded foul. Grabbed there by Dan Johnson.
Freddie Garcia certainly has done a good job for the Yankees as well this year. We're going to see him pitch. Freddie Garcia has 15 quality starts out of his 24.
The 0-2. Fouled off in front of the plate.
Pay attention to that split finger tomorrow night from Freddie Garcia. It's kind of been rolling a little bit lately. It was such a huge pitch for him all year long. He lost that good darting action on it. We'll see if it returns tomorrow night. Going to give up some home runs on that pitch. We didn't see that all the first half.
He's going to face a desperate Red Sox team coming in that must snap out of this spiral. Interesting stat read about the Red Sox as they come in. They've had one of the worst Septembers you could ever have. 1-2. Line driving, base hit to right field. A run will score. Romine will hustle a third. The throw is not in time. RBI single for Pena. Tonight after the postgame, catch a new episode of Forbes Sports Money as Yes shines the spotlight on global sports marketing and media firm IMG, featuring an interview with its sports president George Pine, plus another state of sports discussion. It's a new Forbes Sports Money tonight after the postgame, only on Yes. And that stat about the Red Sox that jumps out at you, they lead the American League in runs. So it hasn't been their offense. This month they lead them in runs. So it hasn't been their offense at all. Their starting pitching has just gone south. Andrew Jones takes outside. 5-16 this month. They've averaged almost 6 runs a game. Look at the ERA. They've almost given up 6 runs a game. There's a base hit to left field. Andrew Jones picks up another ribby as Romine scores, and now the Rays lead the Yankees 13-4.
Figured Andrew Jones would get a steady diet of breaking balls after that home run his last at bat. Usually plays against a left-handed starter, which he did tonight.
Joe Madden's going to take the baseball from Dane De La Rosa. He's going to go to his bullpen with Jesus Montero coming up. race in the American League. He takes 3 out of 4 from the Red Sox and now takes this one from the Detroit Tigers as well. Well, the Yankees are trying to rally here in the 7th inning. 2 runs in, runners on first and second with 1 out. They trail 13-4. And now Alex Torres will come in to face Montero. Peña's at second, Andrew Jones at first. 17 combined runs, 28 combined hits. The Yankees have made 4 errors, and the Blue Jays have not made any. Foul away.
Pretty impressed with Montero's approach from a pitching standpoint, trying to face him, looking for weaknesses. Very quiet feet, quick hands. Kind of a pick it up, put it down stride. We've seen his power the other way. This particular game, we've seen him turn on an inside fastball too as well and lace it down the third base line. So very solid approach from Montero. Very impressed with his style. A little bit of an open stance. Very quiet with his feet. The old saying from a lot of hitting coaches is slow feet, quick hands. You know, from my days of hitting in the National League as a pitcher, Flash, you know, a lot of times you think you gotta get a bigger stride, you know, to speed up your hands. It does just the opposite. See Montero spread out pretty well, but just very quiet with that front foot.
That one is drilled to left center field. That's going to be extra bases, and it's going to roll to the wall. 2 runs are going to score. 2 more ribbies for Montero, and the Yankees now trail 13-6. 3rd hit of the night for Montero.
Well, right on cue. We'll see it again. Picks it up, puts it down. Short to the ball. Very quick hands. Easily in the gap for a 2 RBI double, and that's his first 3-hit game.
Here's Posada hitting from the right side where he has struggled so much. And he foul tips that ball. Montero now 9 for 18 against lefties.
So Matt Moore throws some fastballs by Posada. Torres doing the same this at bat, jumping out ahead quickly, 0-2.
Count 1-2. Swing and a miss. Posada seemed very uncomfortable up there as he strikes out.
Well, you get some fastballs thrown by you, and all of a sudden you're going to start thinking about it, protecting a little bit for it. You'd be vulnerable to that off-speed pitch. Kind of that 2-part emergency swing.
There's a strike to Brandon Laird.
it's quite possible you're going to see sort of a platoon of DH between Montero and Posada in the postseason.
Grounded to short. Brignat. That'll do it. But the Yankees get 4 runs. They lead 1. Jesus Montero picks up his 3rd hit of the night. We go to the 8th. 13-6 Rays. Dylan Betances, he is from Brooklyn. So there's a lot of people in Brooklyn, and he also, his family now lives in Teaneck, that are sitting up a little bit closer to the TV as they see Dylan Betances make his big league debut. Those are his numbers: 25 games, 4.9, 3.70. But the thing that makes the Yankees happy, 142 strikeouts in 126 1/3 innings pitched. He was an 8th round pick in the 2006 first-year player draft. He went to Grand Street Campus High School in Brooklyn. He was also here at Yankee Stadium the day that David Wells pitched his perfect game, May 17th of 1998. And he did not go to yours, David. I just want to tell you that, so don't hold that against him. But this is his major league debut. And he was rated the 43rd best prospect in baseball by Baseball America. 23 years old. 6'8". And he will face Reed Brignat. Hyundai scoreboard 13-6 Tampa Bay. One, 2-1.
Remember seeing him in spring training, and he would ride that fastball up in the zone. A good one too at 95 miles an hour.
Hammered foul. Very nice kid, very soft-spoken, excited to be here, been respectful. And you know, we were watching yesterday as Kim Jones was navigating the clubhouse with all the champagne, and a lot of the highly touted Yankee youngsters, they were not going nuts in there. They handled themselves with respect. They know they didn't do anything to get the team here, and they were kind of on the outskirts just watching. That one is dunked foul, left side. Sometimes you see kids come up from minor leagues and they're the loudest, the one spraying the most champagne. That wasn't the case yesterday.
Especially Dellin kind of jumped out at us, just kind of standing in the background, taking it all in. Tells you a lot about a young kid when you observe how they handle certain situations. Pretty good curveball right there we just saw, David.
Yeah, you know, his deliveries, we talked about his height. He's 6'8", right over the top with his delivery. Four-seam fastball and a good tight breaking ball.
Fly ball, shallow center. Golson got a very late jump, but he'll make the basket catch for the first out.
Good pitch. Ties him up inside. Golson breaks back. Speed makes up for the mistake.
You could assume that longtime equipment manager for the Yankees, Rob Kakuza, put Dellen's height on his back. 6'8". Pitch is high. And he walked him on 4 pitches. Pitch is high.
One of the hardest things to do is to control your lower half when you're excited. You're making your major league debut, and you just kind of see him collapsing on that back leg a little bit, which causes you to push the ball uphill. See all those fastballs he's missing with up high are just a little too quick with his lower half. That's what they call staying over the rubber, staying back with your balance. Betances just flying towards home plate a little too quick.
There's a strike.
Easily understood. Making your major league debut. Those legs got to be a little bit heavy right now.
Montero and Betances have worked together in the minors. Pitch tailing outside too much.
Still remember my major league debut, Flash. You see here on that back leg just collapsing a little too much and pushing, and that causes your arm to be late. Kind of like a hitter dragging the back through the zone.
And he walked him. So 2 straight walks.
I remember being so nervous, Flash, that I physically felt the effects of it. My legs felt heavy. Almost like you have cement blocks on your shoes.
I felt the same thing behind the plate, actually throwing the ball back to the pitcher. Kind of that thick wrist, would choke it. Nerves definitely played a factor.
Larry Rothschild goes out and talks with Betances. Following the final out, you have to stick around with Yes for the WB Mason postgame, as Bob Lorenz and Jack Curry break down tonight's series finale and take a look around baseball's playoff races. Plus, Joe Girardi's postgame comments, and Kim Jones has a reaction inside the clubhouse. It's all coming up after the final out, and it's only on Yes. They all look up to Dellin Betances. Andrew Brackman, an inning and a third of scoreless relief, his first big league appearance. And Rodriguez takes outside. Pitch high, 2-0.
See his rhythm really quick now. Kind of the game speeds up at the big league level, especially when you're struggling a little bit. It takes a little while to just take a step off, relax, regroup. Frustration now. Game just gets going quicker. You learn when you get older how to slow it down.
And he walked him on 4 pitches, so he has walked the bases loaded after getting the first out.
Yeah, I like that from Tony Pena. Fastballs all over the place. Call a breaking ball. Call a curveball. Sometimes, David, will slow a pitcher down mechanically, get him back to where he needs to be.
Try to get back into that pitching mode instead of that throwing mode.
And he hits Matt Joyce to force in a run. So he is all over the place right now. Coming home is Dan Johnson, and now it's 14-6 Rays. That was the one thing you always heard about Jeter. Even when he was a rookie, he was able to slow the game down, even in the biggest moments. And right now, as John and David have said, things are kind of quick for Betances. There's Russ Kanzler, pitch outside. .126 1/3 innings in the minors this year, and Betances walked 70. The 3 walks and hit batter here in the 8th, forced in a run. High fly ball, deep right center. Golson will make the catch. Tagging is Geyer. He'll score. Rodriguez moves to third. A sac fly for Kanzler, and now it's 15-6. George Contos, who pitched yesterday, he's up. Here's Elliott Johnson. This is his first at bat of the night. Pitch inside.
Front shoulder just leaving a little bit early. Every breaking ball he's thrown, he's yanked inside on the lefties. Got all the stuff, just a matter of getting that direction flowing towards home plate. That first major league appearance out of your system.
In on the hands with a fastball. And the 3-1. And he walked them, so the bases are reloaded. And that's going to do it. Joe Girardi doesn't want to do any more damage to the kid and his psyche, because he already walked 4 and hit a batter. So he's going to call on Contos to get out of this, and Betances' night is over. part by J&R Music and Computer World, and by Ford, the official truck of the New York Yankees. Well, that's a talk, a gentle talk. There's no yelling going on there between Larry Rothschild and Dellin Betances. You have any idea what they could be saying?
Well, absolutely. I mean, he's going through the whole, outing in terms of what he saw. Straight mechanics, obviously a lot of emotion. Major League debut, very understandable. Talking about how you could, exactly what Flash was saying, how you could slow yourself down, make adjustments quicker. Don't keep making the same mistake over and over and flying open and having your arm drop and miss up in the strike zone.
So here's George Contos against Justin Ruggiano. Started him off speed, 0-1.
I was just thinking, watching Gene Monahan, longtime trainer, sitting down there next to Betances, and boy, he's seen a lot of Major League debuts in his day, and kind of gave Dellin a little pat on the back. You're all right, kid. Get him next time. He'll get better.
One, two. Bases loaded with Rays. 2 runs in. 15-6 Tampa Bay. 2-2. Still 2-2. And the count is full. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. So Contos restores some order. But 2 runs on no hits, and the bases are left loaded. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 15-6 Rays. Mom and Dad brought the camera to the game, but he took the IOTV HD Super Shot. Give me the camera. Check it out. Yeah, see? Did a good job there. It is a super shot indeed. Not much super for the Yankees in this game. All right, from the very beginning, Bartolo Colon didn't have it, and it has gone downhill since then as the Yankees are trailing 15-6 on the Hyundai scoreboard. Golson will lead it off against Alex Torres. Grounded to third. Rodriguez, the long throw. One away. One pitch, one out.
Nice job by Cantos there. Bases loaded. Saved Betances some earned runs. That last inning, getting out of it. Cantos had a pretty decent year in AAA. 2.62 ERA, 89 in the third innings, had 91 punchies. Kind of earned his way to the big leagues this year.
Here's Dickerson. 1-0.
Yankees took a flyer on Mark Pryor, the former Great Cubby, too. Just never really got healthy, got enough going. Thought we might see him, you know, in September, earlier in the year. He's had all kinds of problems with injuries.
Grounded up the middle. And it's grabbed there. The throw to first. Couldn't be handled by Johnson, so Dickerson will reach.
Going to be scored a base hit. Good play by Johnson coming across. So Dan Johnson just can't make the play. Dickerson runs too well.
So Johnson to Johnson, no powder puff play there as Dickerson gets the hit. Here's Nunez. He has 2 hits tonight.
Bottom of the 8th, that's what we get.
Yeah,
powder puff.
That's about it. Count 2-0. Oh, they go to the 10th inning at Rogers Center. It's 3-3. 3-0 to Nunez. Wild card standings on September 2nd. Rays were 9 out. Now they're 2.5 out. There's a strike. The Rays are going to host Toronto beginning tomorrow. The Red Sox coming to Yankee Stadium for 3 games against the Yanks. And a walk to Nunez. Then after that, the Red Sox will go to Baltimore to see the Orioles to finish the regular season. And the Yankees will head to St. Pete to finish the season against Tampa Bay. So the Yankees finished their regular season against Tampa Bay, and the preliminary schedule for next year shows that they start the season against the Rays in Tampa Bay. Here's Austin Romine. 1-0.
Actually makes sense to open the season in the warm weather. It's odd.
For a while there, David, during your years, the Yankees opened on the West Coast a couple of times.
We did, yeah. That was part of the reasoning, as Flash said. You know, that was trying to play to the weather patterns on the East Coast.
And it always made sense all these years, the Yankees training in Tampa. You know, you save yourself one road trip if you start in Tampa. Never seemed to work out that way, but it does work out that way next year. 15-6, Rays over the Yanks. The 2-0. Strike to Romine, 2-1.
Long night for Fielding Culbreth behind the plate, too. We've seen a lot of pitches. You can betcha he wants to raise his right arm right now and call strikes. Just hasn't been able to do it the last few innings.
And Romine works a walk. So Torres has walked a couple to load the bases. And here is Ramiro Pena. 2 for 2 for Pena. Check that, 2 for 3. Singles his last 2 times up, and that broke an 0 for 28 slide. The last time the Yankees had as long a hitless streak within a season was in 2004, when both Derek Jeter and Jason Giambi each won 32 consecutive at-bats without a hit. That one is chopped slowly towards second. Elliott Johnson fires the ball past Dan Johnson. Dickerson scores. And Nunez scores. It's 15-8.
Austin Romine does the right thing. You're not supposed to run yourself into an out. Ground ball to Johnson coming in. Romine freezes. Elliott Johnson throws over to Dan Johnson. It's wide. Rays getting a little sloppy here in the 8th.
And Joe Madden doesn't need to see this go any further. He's got Andrew Jones, who could hit a home run and make it 15-11. So you give an RBI to Pena and an E4 because the run would have scored, the bases loaded anyway. Joe Madden's going to change pitchers with Andrew Jones coming up. Stay here.
Gomes appeared in both games of the doubleheader yesterday, threw 7 total pitches. The pitcher out on the mound when Jorge Posada got the game-winning hit. That big hit in the 8th inning. His numbers on the year: 2-1, ERA 3.21. He will face Andrew Jones, who has had a nice evening. 12th home run of the year. Two for 4 on the night. Single, 3 RBIs.
(15-8), Rays lead, and the first pitch is a breaking ball outside from Gomes. First and second, 1 out. Gomes deals. 2-0. Suddenly the Rays are having trouble throwing strikes. Popped up. Sky high. Sean Rodriguez, infield fly rule called for the second out.
Boy, Andrew Jones had one thing in mind, got a 2-0 fastball. You can see, well, he just missed it too. Comes right up and out over the plate, just a little too high. As you see, he gets under that.
Check swing, did he go? No, he did not.
Jesus Montero with a nice night, 3 for 3.
The 1-0. 2-0.
You watch his setup and how he really gets down into his legs. Obviously a power position for any hitter, but you wonder with the fatigue of catching every day if he's going to be able to maintain that through the course of a year and into the month of September when fatigue is a factor. Really sits down into his legs, gets a nice base.
Foul back.
Almost Albert Pujols style. Trying to figure out, who he reminds me of. You see Pujols gets down there and uses those legs like that as well. So Flash is talking about. And he kind of raises up a little bit. Very good swing right there. See him kind of come, raise back up, real quiet with that front foot, and then loads. Load and then unload. Right on that pitch.
Two 1. 3-1.
That's been a familiar refrain from fielding call Colbreth. That's a ball.
And he walked him. Bases loaded. Perfect night for Montero. 3 for 3 with 2 walks. And Joe Madden's starting to get a little antsy.
You, me, or nobody.
I think he's going to go for his A relievers now. 15-8. Posada at the plate could make it 15-12. Stay right where you are. We saw him yesterday, and what this does is it makes Posada turn around to the right side, and he's an under 100 hitter this year from the right side. So the Yankees are not going to pull him for a pinch hitter here in a game that they're trailing 15-8. So it's a statistically sound move by Joe Madden to bring in the left-hander. Last night he batted from the left side. And that hit gave the Yankees the lead, and they went on to win the game and clinch the American League East.
Number 20, Jorge Posada.
15-16-0, leading 8-15-4. 31 hits combined, 23 runs. The Rays trying to salvage the final game of this 4-game set. They must have this game. And the pitch is outside to Posada. With the bases loaded this year, 4 for 11.
We've seen McGee, hard-throwing left-hander. He can kind of be erratic. Jorge Posada hunt the fastball. You got to make sure it's a strike.
Just in case you were wondering, that was the 338th pitch of this game.
One, 2, 1-1. Now it's 1-2. Joel Peralta is up. Swing and a miss. And Posada's futility continues from the right side. But the Yankees get 2 runs. They leave the bases loaded. We go to the 9th. It's 15-8 Rays. Have danced around getting back in it the last couple of innings, but they haven't been able to get that one big blow to make a statement. They pulled to within 7, and there have been a lot of hits in the game, as we mentioned, 31. And now we'll go to the ninth inning. Yankees have used 6 pitchers. George Contos came in to get out of a bases-loaded jam last inning. Bartolo Colon started. That's really the story for the Yankees. The Yankees right now are looking to do a couple of things. They want to have the best record in the American League, so they have home field in the DS and the LCS. And if you look at their record, they're pretty sure they're going to have the best record. They're 5 games in front of the nearest pursuer. So that looks good. And they also have to find out about their pitching. They didn't find out much about Bartolo Colon tonight. As Jaso lines one into right center field, a base hit. And Golson will get the ball in quickly. Jaso is now 1 for 6. So that was a big at bat for him. You don't want to catch a game where you catch 780 pitches and you go 0 for 6. Here's Reed Brignac. Reed is 1 for 5. Contos deals outside. Count 2-0.
Lost at the shuffle was the great debut of Matt Moore. Flamethrowing lefty for the Rays, at least his first start. Maybe not his major league debut, but his first time starting a major league game.
Golson turns a couple of ways and comes up with it for the first out. Take a look at the NL wild card. The Braves doing a lot of losing of late. Their pitching is exhausted. The Cardinals lost a heartbreaker to the Mets tonight. They gave up 6 runs in the 9th inning to lose that game, 8-6. So they're 2 out. And the Giants, who are playing the Dodgers right now, and the Dodgers lead 2-1 in the bottom of the first. They're 3 games back, the Giants are. Picks of Dan Johnson is outside.
The Braves come into New York, right? Play the Mets the next couple of days. Mets will have an opportunity again to play spoiler.
Popped up. Andrew Jones calls off Pena for the second out. And they're also at that part of the schedule right now where if there's rain, you got to wait. And the Mets and the Cardinals waited an awfully long time to start that game. I think it was a 1:30 scheduled start. They must have started around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Here's Brandon Guyer. Drilled deep to left field. Fair ball, it's gone. It is a foul ball. That sums it up. Popped up. And Pena makes the play for the final out of the 9th. No runs to hit, no errors, and 1 man left. Last licks coming up for the Yanks. Do they have a rally in their bones?
Carmen sits down to discuss his lengthy career from his time as a UCLA Bruins starting quarterback and his surprising worldwide fame. It's a new center stage tomorrow night at 11 o'clock, only on Yes.
That's true love right there. Game's closing in on 3:45 and still here, arm around his gal. His team is losing, but still life is good. Now Juan Cruz will try to close this out. Came in yesterday, threw 4 pitches, all balls, and left the game quickly. He's done a pretty good job for the Rays so far this year, except for the walks, 28 walks in 46 innings. And for the Yankees, it's going to be Laird, Golson, and Dickerson in the bottom of the 9th. Yankees' magic number for home field, as you see Sam Fold take over and right, is 2. So if they win 2 more games, they have home field throughout the American League portion of the postseason. Or if they have a win combined with a loss by the Tigers or the Rangers, and that's how you get to the 2. Pitch to Laird is outside, 1-0.
We talked about David Robertson coming in last night's game, throwing 1 pitch and getting a win. Juan Cruz has had some good fortune since 2007. Been 18-5 winning percentage. As you see, he throws ball 3. Second only to Boston's Alfredo Aceves, and the Yankees will remember him, the ultimate vulture.
Yeah.
Aceves is 21-2 since 2007. Juan Cruz second to Aceves with an 18-5 record out of the bullpen.
Now 3-1.
Timing is everything in life, especially for relievers.
Popped up. Right field. Sam Fold makes the play. 1 out. Fold came over from the Cubs in the Matt Garza deal. And boy, for the first 2 months of the season, he was a human highlight reel, making unbelievable plays in the outfield, big hits, kind of came down to earth, and now Desmond Jennings has taken over in left field. There's Greg Golson, 0 for 4 tonight. Count 1-0.
Dylan Culberth behind the plate, still not given that close one here in the 9th inning with 1 out, 15-8 ball game. Holding true to his strike zone.
Count 2-0. So with this win, the Rays are going to pull to within 2 of the Red Sox, and they have 6 games remaining. Each team with 6 games. The Rays 3 with the Yankees and 3 with Toronto, and the Red Sox 3 with the Yankees and 3 with the Orioles. And they're in the top of the 12th in Toronto, and the Angels and the Blue Jays are tied at 3. Talk about pressure. That could be the season for the Angels if they lose that game. They might not be able to come back from 3 back. They have a slight chance if it's 2. So that's how much pressure is on in that 12th inning. They must have that game. 3-2. If you're still with us, we thank you. That's all I wanted to say. I really do appreciate it. We all do here at Yes. Thank you. 3-2. Fouled away. Freddie Garcia against John Lester tomorrow, starting a 3-game set. Yankees and the Bo Sox. Grounded to short. Brignac. And the Yankees are down to their final out. Most of the announced crowd of 47,470 are already on their way home or in bed. As Chris Dickerson digs in with 2 outs. That one is laced into left center. And coming on is Geyer, and he makes the play. And that will do it as the Rays win this one 15-8. A nice play by Brandon Geyer as the Yankees are retired in order in the 9th inning. 1-2-3. And stick around for the postgame show to find out who's today's Chevy player of the game. Geyer made it interesting, but pulled it just off the grass for the final out to retire Dickerson and end the long night at the stadium as the Rays salvage 1 game of the 4 and a must-win for them here at the stadium. We'll be back.